All right. So what's your name?
Name is Arlen Olson.
Arlen Olson. All right. When were you born and where were you raised?
Born April 30th, 1949. Uh, Born in Lanesboro, Minnesota, and raised in Preston, Minnesota.
What is your favorite memory of your childhood and growing up?
Just everybody getting out, playing, having fun. All the neighborhood kids, we all got along.
What was your favorite thing to do with your friends?
Well, the neighborhood friends, it was, like I say, kick the kid, just playing games. And I had a couple of really good friends that we did a lot of fishing together. They only lived probably half a block from the river. We'd go down trout fishing and
You ever go do that tubing that's on Root River?
yeah,
Yeah.
done that.
So I gotta do that this summer.
Actually, we went out and did that in a canoe, and we sunk the canoe.
Oh God. Just imagine how hard that was to get out.
It was.
Would you describe yourself as poor, middle class, or rich growing up?
I would probably say more on the poor side because there was six of us, six kids.
How many brothers and sisters did you have?
Let's see, I got one. I got Lois, Roxy. I got two sisters, and there was three brothers, and with me, four. So there'd be six of us.
Can you tell about a time you became aware of the economic forces at work in your life?
When I was 16, I was working on the railroad, and I was making almost double what my dad was making working for the creamery. I don't know if that's what you would call an economic force, but for me, it was I was doing very well for a 16-year-old.
So what was it like working on the railroad?
Rough.
Rough?
I look at these guys working on the railroad today, and I sit and laugh.
I know, because they all
There's
have...
20 guys doing what four of us did by hand.
Where did you go to school and college eventually?
I went to school in Preston, and then after that I went in the military and did my 3 years there with a tour in Vietnam. When I came back, then I actually went to the technical school here in Winona for aviation.
How did that affect what your career, family, and future life was like?
Well, let's see. At that time, when I was in aviation, you had a big teacher strike in Winona. And prior to that, years ago, I did some working in the sawmills at home, and I had a Class A for driving, and I went back to working in Preston driving log truck. Well, then when the strike was over and everybody went back, I just kind of stayed with what I was doing, driving log truck and all that, and that eventually ended up driving over the road for 45 years, all the states.
What did your family think of you joining the military?
They really never said anything, because a friend and I went and did it on a Saturday and came home and told my dad that's why I'm going in the Army. He looked at me like I was nuts. And with the Vietnam going, well, we figured that we might as well go do it. Then we could kind of pick on where we wanted to go, what branch we wanted to get in, because we're going to get drafted anyway. So
might as well volunteer.
So we just volunteered to go.
Do you remember the 1980s and 1990s as good times or hard times, and why?
Well, the hard times of it was mostly for the Vietnam vets coming back. We're not treated well when we got out. Although I got out in '70, it was well before that. But
unlike World War II, where they had parades and all that,
and there was still a lot of animosity against the vets. Well, actually, all the way up into 2000 before we really started getting recognized. And so that, in the good times, I mean, with some of the presidents I had, presidents we had, my stocks did very well, my, retirement and that there. And so I guess that would be the good times.
What was the greatest social change you saw develop in this country over that time period?
Well, a lot of finding out about back to the Vietnam War again, how much bull the government laid on us that we're supposed to be winning this and winning that, and basically lying to us.
Yep.
You know.
Saying we're winning, but yet we're still sending over
Right.
thousands of people and sending back hundreds of people dead every
Yeah.
week, compared to like other wars that.
You know, I don't regret doing it.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's just, I just wish once they would let the government would stay the hell out of everything and let the military do the job,
It's true.
you know.
Let's see. What was the greatest political change you saw develop during the 1980s and 1990s, and how did you vote and feel about these matters?
Well, I pretty much on the political part kept everything. I voted Democrat. I've always been a Democrat. But I've always felt, you know, whoever we get for president, like George W. Bush or Ronald Reagan, I thought were excellent presidents. I didn't always agree with everything they did, but nobody agrees with everything. But I thought they tried to do the best they could do with what they had.
So what was it like seeing them go out and speak and all that, and having him as president?
Yeah, I enjoyed listening to him because it just seems back then there wasn't as much trash talk
Yep.
as there is now. And I'm so sick of now that I didn't want to watch it on TV when it gets to the election stuff because it's just trash talk. And with them guys, it wasn't that way. But I guess I have to say too, this is before the 80s and 90s. I actually was when they buried President Eisenhower in Abilene, Kansas. I was at that funeral.
That'd be really cool.
That was probably one of the highlights. I'd have to say that's probably one of the highlights of my life.
Huh. That'd be kind of cool to see that.
It was.
Big historical event right there.
Because I was actually military there, so we were actually pulling security.
Jeez.
So that was really cool.
Huh. Did your economic position in society improve or decline during the 80s and 90s? And if so, how?
No, I think, back then I was pretty much, happy the way things were going. So I guess I wouldn't say they improved or declined.
What is the greatest difference between your life now and what it was like growing up?
Oof. Well, back then, when I was growing up, of course, you didn't have all the computer era and all this. And so, really nobody even heard a whole lot about government. I mean, other than what you read in the paper, because that was the only social media you had. But other than that there.
How big was the radio back when you were growing up?
How big?
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Probably the size of this anyway.
Do you remember any memories from like listening to like broadcasts or any of that sort of stuff on the radio growing up?
Well, we used to listen to there was very few stations we had, but there was some of them, I can't even tell you who they were on there, but I was big into country music, and they'd get some of the stations on with that. And then with the TV, I think we had 2 channels or 3. I watched Roy Rogers every morning on the weekends and a couple shows like that.
So what was it like when they first introduced like television and all that, like phones and the internet eventually? What was that like for you?
He had to beg me to get a cell phone. I was scared to death of it. Well, I should say the iPhone.
Yeah.
I was scared to death of it because I am not computer literate, believe me. But once I got the iPhone, and he still has to show me some stuff. I don't know how a person does without it.
Exactly, especially in this time and era
it is,
where everything's revolved around the internet.
I literally have a tablet, and I can do anything with the phone that I have a tablet, and I don't even use a tablet now. Rarely.
Yep. So, which generation would you say growing up was the best for you? Like the 70s, 60s, 80s, 90s?
I'll tell you what, I love the 60s and 70s probably, because I was big into the country music, and I love the 50s and 60s rock and roll.
Yep. What was your favorite rock bands?
Every one of them.
Everyone?
All of them are good.
Cinderella.
We didn't have the acid.
Yep.
All this stuff,
Not this modern rap.
Well, some of it is good. I've heard some country singers with rap, and I really enjoyed it. But some of the other rap where F-bomb is every other word. That's just
Now it's all auto-tune versus back then when it was
Yeah.
actually talent.
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Huh.